Okay, let's unpack this. If you look at a physical blueprint for a building, you aren't just looking at a dry list of wood and nails.
Right, it's not just materials.
Yeah, exactly. You are looking at human intent. Like you see where the doors are placed, which tells you how people are supposed to flow through that space.
Hmm.
And today, we have a digital blueprint, but it's not for a single building. It's a blueprint for how anyone, anywhere, is supposed to claim their own piece of digital real estate.
It's a massive scale.
Huge. And our source today is, well, it's literally a single index page from the Google Sites Help Center.
Which sounds dry, but it's really not.
No, not at all. It's a list of help topics from basic setup to troubleshooting. And our mission for this deep dive is to decode this seemingly dry list. We want to trace the user's journey from a totally blank screen to a globally accessible hub.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it tells us exactly how the internet is being built today.
It does. And I think, when you strip away the branding, a Help Center Index is fundamentally a map of friction points.
Friction points. Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, it tells you exactly what the developers think you will need to do, what you will inevitably struggle with, and the precise chronological order in which you will experience those hurdles.
Ah, I see. So it's like they're predicting your problems before you even have them.
Exactly. They know the exact path you're going to walk down.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning of that chronology then, the breaking ground phase.
The foundation.
Right. So looking at the get started and create categories on this list, we see the absolute basics. Things like how to use, what you need, and create, name, delete, or copy a site.
Very foundational stuff.
Yeah, and right below it are the structural elements. So add, delete, and organize pages.
Mm-hmm.
Building a site now, at least based on this list, is like ordering a modular home.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, you just look at the catalog of materials you need, and then you are instantly snapping rooms or pages together. And you copy them if you like the layout, or you just, bulldoze them with the delete button if they don't fit.
You aren't coding a structure from scratch anymore. I mean, you are arranging prefabricated components.
Yeah.
It strips the mystique away from web design entirely. The psychological barrier to entry is just obliterated.
It really is.
Because the system is telling you that building a web page is, well, it's no more complex than creating a folder on your desktop.
Right, that low barrier is super apparent. But something else jumped out at me immediately when I was looking at this.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Sitting right there in the exact same starter section, right next to the basic creation tools, you have redesign your Google Sites and find what's changed in a site. I mean, I just broke ground on this modular house, and you are already handing me the instructions for a massive remodel.
It's pretty wild when you think about it.
It is. It's like you're giving me a way to audit the construction crew on day one.
Well,
Why are redesign tools front and center for absolute beginners?
So, placing redesign and tracking tools alongside the initial creation phase, it reveals a fundamental shift in web philosophy.
Okay.
Historically, a website was viewed as a static monument.
Yes, exactly.
A company would, spend 6 months building it, finally hit publish, and then nobody would touch it for 3 years until it looked hopelessly outdated.
It was like printing a corporate brochure.
Exactly.
Like once the ink is dry at the printer, your job is done.
Right.
And any mistakes are basically permanent.
But this menu structure tells a completely different story. It tells the user that a website is a living, breathing document.
Right.
You're expected to constantly tweak it, audit it, and collaboratively iterate on it from literally day one.
Oh, wow. So it's never really finished.
No, never. You are meant to track changes because you aren't the only one moving the digital furniture around.
Okay.
The act of creation and the act of redesigning are no longer separate phases. They are the exact same continuous loop.
So if you're listening to this and you've been putting off making a personal portfolio or maybe a business site because you think it has to be perfect before anyone sees it.
Which so many people do.
They really do. But this help menu is literally telling you to let that go.
Yeah, completely.
You are supposed to publish it half finished and tweak it live. You aren't building a monument, you're tending a garden.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And the garden requires maintenance, right?
Well,
And additions over time, which
Yeah.
brings us to the next logical phase in this blueprint. Once you have the basic walls up,
Yeah.
that empty shell needs to be filled.
right, you got to put something in it. That moves us into the edit, share, and publish section of the index.
Mhm.
And looking at the list, we have the straightforward additions first. So add or edit text and images and add and edit announcement banners.
Very drag and drop.
Super drag and drop. But then we hit ecosystem integration. It says add Google files, videos, website content, and more.
Yeah, this is a big pivot.
Think about the mechanics of this for a second. We aren't just typing text into a box anymore.
No, we are embedding live assets.
Live assets, right.
When you embed a Google Sheet or, say, a slide deck into one of these pages, you aren't posting a screenshot of that data.
Right, it's not a picture.
Exactly. You are creating a live window into that file. If someone updates a cell in that spreadsheet from their phone while sitting on a train,
That update is instantly reflected on the website for everyone to see.
instantly, it's totally seamless.
So you are turning the site from a simple public billboard into a central operational dashboard for a team.
Yes.
Like you could have a project tracker, a pitch deck, and a welcome video all operating within this one unified hub.
It fundamentally changes the utility of a website.
How so?
Well, it becomes a container for an entire ecosystem of workflows rather than just a place to host marketing copy.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Okay.
And honestly, this is where I have to push back a little bit on this whole beginner-friendly drag-and-drop narrative.
Let's hear it.
Because as I keep reading down this exact same editing section, suddenly I see add gadgets, scripts, and more to Google sites, and use a custom domain for your site.
Yeah, those are heavy hitters.
Adding custom scripts, custom domains. I thought this was for snapping together simple modular pages.
It's a bit of a tonal shift.
It is. This implies a hidden, steep learning curve. Are users getting lured in with easy text boxes only to hit a wall the second they want actual functionality?
Right.
Like suddenly needing to understand how to manage DNS settings.
That tension is a classic hallmark of modern software design.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. What's fascinating here is the deliberate duality of the platform.
A duality.
Right. It is engineered to have a low floor and a high ceiling.
Okay, I like that. A low floor and a high ceiling.
The low floor is the text and image tools. Anyone can step onto that.
My grandma could do that.
Exactly. But the ceiling is the scripts and custom domains.
So it scales with the user's ambition rather than trapping them.
Precisely.
But let's dig into that ceiling for a minute. For someone who doesn't build websites for a living, what does it actually mean to use a custom domain?
That's a great question.
Why is that a complex hurdle?
Well, when you build a site initially, it lives on a generic web address owned by the platform.
Right, something long and clunky with a bunch of slashes.
Exactly. A custom domain is buying your own specific address, like yourname.com.
Simple enough in theory.
In theory.
Yeah.
But to connect that custom name to this modular site, you have to configure DNS settings.
And DNS stands for Domain Name System, right?
Yes. It is essentially the phone book of the internet.
The phone book.
You have to log into a totally separate registrar, find these complex strings of numbers and text records, and point them exactly at Google servers.
Oh, wow.
So that when someone types in your name, the internet knows which specific digital house to route them to.
Okay, so it's like having to go to the city planner's office to manually reroute the roads just so people can find your new modular home.
That is exactly what it is.
That requires a totally different mental model than just dragging an image onto a page.
It does. And the inclusion of gadgets and scripts is even more advanced.
Right, because scripts involve code.
Yeah, scripts allow you to inject custom code to automate tasks or pull in data from outside APIs.
APIs meaning application programming interfaces.
Right. So the platform is essentially saying, we will hold your hand through the basics, but we will also give you the raw wires if you want to hotwire the system later.
I love that. You can hotwire your own website.
If you're brave enough.
Well, once you've hotwired the system and got this robust, dynamic dashboard up and running, a new problem emerges.
Which is?
You need to know who is walking through the door and making sure they don't trip over the furniture.
Yes, absolutely.
And that brings us to the analytics, accessibility, and troubleshooting section of the index.
This is the domain of the responsible webmaster.
I like that title. The responsible webmaster.
Right, the big job.
It is. Think about building a site like opening a restaurant.
Okay, I'm with you.
You've leased the building, you've set up the tables, the kitchen is fully integrated and running. The topics in this section specifically. Use analytics with your site. Act as your maitre d' standing at the front door with a clipboard.
Right, taking names.
But this maitre d' doesn't just count heads. Analytics tracks the mechanics of user behavior.
It goes way deeper than just head counts.
Exactly. It tells you exactly how many people walked in, what geographical region they are visiting from, how many seconds they stared at a specific menu item, and exactly which door they used to leave.
It's incredible data. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, providing enterprise-level analytics as a standard help topic
Yep.
democratizes business intelligence.
Democratizes it.
Yeah. Understanding bounce rates and session durations used to require a dedicated data analyst.
You have to hire a whole team for that.
But now the documentation assumes every user, even a hobbyist,
Mhm.
should be tracking how their audience interacts with their content.
It's wild that it's just expected now, but knowing who is visiting is only half of the responsibility.
Right.
You also have to ensure they can actually consume the content.
This is so important.
We see topics like make your site more accessible, use Google Sites with a screen reader, and keyboard shortcuts for Google Sites.
Yep.
Going back to the restaurant analogy, this is ensuring you haven't just built a beautiful dining room, but you've installed a wheelchair ramp, lowered the order counters, and provided Braille menus.
Accessibility in web design is, sadly, often treated as an afterthought,
Yeah.
or just a compliance checkbox.
Right, something you do at the very end.
But looking at the mechanics of it reveals how deeply it alters site construction. Take screen readers, for example.
Okay, let's talk about screen reader.
A screen reader is a software program that blind or visually impaired users rely on to translate the visual layout of a page into synthesized speech.
So it's literally reading the code out loud to them.
Yes. And if a web builder hasn't used semantic HTML, meaning if they haven't properly tagged a header as a header or provided descriptive alt text for an image, the screen reader just encounters a wall of meaningless data.
Oh, wow.
The blind user hears a jumbled mess instead of a structured article.
That's awful.
It is. So by baking screen reader compatibility and keyboard navigation directly into the core help index, the platform enforces a really important idea,
Which is?
that a website is basically broken if it only works for people using a mouse and a fully functioning pair of eyes.
It removes the excuse of ignorance.
Exactly.
The instructions for building the wheelchair ramp are stapled directly to the instructions for building the front door.
That's exactly how it should be. Now, there are two other specific links in this section that carry profound implications for how we view digital ownership.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first is export your data from Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, Drawings, Sites, Drive, Forms, and Vids.
Wait, that is a massive, varied list of applications bundled into a single data export topic?
It is.
Like all of that in one export.
Yes, and it reveals a fascinating mechanism of modern cloud architecture. This specific mention of exporting a site right alongside a text document, a spreadsheet, or a video file shows how deeply interlinked these formats are.
Okay.
Under the hood, a website built on this platform isn't an isolated folder of code living on a server somewhere in a basement.
Right, it's not its own little island.
No, it is just another structured data type within your broader cloud existence. It treats a public-facing website with the exact same fluid portability as a private text document.
So you can just pack up your entire digital restaurant, put it in a single zip file, and walk away with it.
Precisely.
The website isn't tied to the land. It's completely portable.
It's totally nomadic data.
Wow. Okay, so what was the second critical link you mentioned?
The second one is much heavier.
Okay.
It says, learn about exceptions for educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic purposes.
Oh, wow. That sounds like serious legal terminology dropped right in the middle of a DIY manual.
It is. Because publishing on the internet involves serious legal liabilities. When a platform gives millions of people the power to seamlessly publish digital hubs, those users instantly inherit the complex responsibility of content moderation and copyright law.
So it's not a free-for-all.
No. This specific topic hints at the invisible legal apparatus running behind the scenes.
Right, because if you are embedding videos or uploading images to your new site, you can't just take whatever you want from a Google image search.
Exactly. You have to navigate fair use.
Which is tricky.
Very. The educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic purposes phrasing that is a direct reference to the legal tests used to determine if you are allowed to host copyrighted or sensitive material.
It's like a warning label.
It is. The platform is reminding you that while the tools are easy to use, you are still broadcasting into a real world governed by strict real-world laws. You are accountable for what you host.
That's a heavy responsibility. But all these strict rules, the complex analytics tools, and the DNS configurations we talked about, It creates a new problem.
Oh, definitely.
What happens when a beginner gets totally overwhelmed? Because the blueprint doesn't always match the reality on the ground.
It rarely does.
When things inevitably go wrong, how does a massive system like this provide a safety net?
Well, a platform operating at this scale cannot rely on a single line of defense.
Right.
It requires a multi-layered safety net to catch different types of failures.
Okay, so looking at the bottom of the index, under the Need More Help section, we see the traditional route. Fix a problem with Google Sites.
Standard troubleshooting.
Right. But right below that is a massive call to action. Post to the help community, get answers from community members.
Yep, the community forum.
Does the reliance on a community forum to crowdsource answers mean the official documentation is fundamentally lacking?
I wouldn't say that.
Is it a way for developers to just avoid writing comprehensive guides, or is it a sign of something healthier?
This raises an important question about the limits of static knowledge. It is rarely a sign of lacking documentation. The developers know exactly how the tool was designed to be used, and they document that perfectly.
They know the happy path.
Exactly. The problem is that humans are endlessly creative and stubborn.
They don't use the tool the way the developers intended.
Never. A user will decide they want to use a basic website builder to run a complex, automated inventory system for their shoe store.
Right.
Or they want to try and make their site trigger a smart light bulb in their house whenever someone submits a contact form.
That is so specific.
But it happens. And the official developers are never going to write a tutorial for the smart light bulb edge case.
It's way too niche.
But out of millions of users, someone in the community has probably tried it, failed, hacked together a weird custom script, and solved it.
And then posted about it.
Right. The community forum bridges the crucial gap between the sterile, intended use cases in the manual and the messy, dynamic reality of human problem solving.
It turns user support from a static monologue into an evolving dialogue.
That's a great way to put it.
And zooming out from the community problem solving, the very bottom of this index page paints a really vivid picture of just how vast and diverse this user base actually is.
It's global.
It is. We see a toggle to enable dark mode and an incredibly extensive list of supported languages. And we aren't just talking about English and Spanish. The list specifically highlights Català, Deutsch, Espanol, Turks, Prigto, and dozens more.
Synthesizing those two features, dark mode and extensive localization, it kind of redefines our earlier conversation about accessibility.
Oh, how so?
Well, we talked about screen readers for the visually impaired, which is crucial.
Right.
But true accessibility is also about reducing daily friction for the average user.
Okay, let's break down the mechanics of that. Why is a dark mode toggle important enough to be featured on the main index?
Biologically, staring at a bright white screen for hours bombards your retinas with high-energy light.
It literally hurts.
It does. It causes pupil constriction, eye strain, and disrupts circadian rhythms.
Oh, wow.
Dark mode inverts that color scheme, drastically reducing the photon output of the screen.
So it's not just an aesthetic choice.
No, it is a biological accessibility feature for anyone spending 4 straight hours trying to configure their DNS settings or write a custom script.
It makes the physical act of building the site less painful.
Exactly.
And the localization piece, offering the interface in Turkish, Ukrainian, or Hindi that serves a similar purpose, but for the brain instead of the eyes.
Yes, it reduces cognitive load.
Cognitive load.
Building a website, understanding analytics, and navigating legal copyright exceptions is intellectually taxing.
Very.
If a user in Turkey has to do all of that while constantly performing mental translation from English, you are imposing a massive, exhausting cognitive tax on them.
They are forced to work twice as hard to achieve the exact same result.
Providing a native, localized interface removes that mental translation layer.
It just levels the playing field.
It acknowledges that the default internet user is not just a native English speaker sitting in a brightly lit office in California.
Yeah.
It allows the tool to morph and adapt to the cultural and physical environment of the person using it.
And the final links on the page: privacy policy, terms of service, and submit feedback, they serve to close that entire loop.
They establish a clear social contract.
Right. You get to use these powerful, localized tools for free, but in exchange, you agree to the platform's rules, and you have a direct mechanism to report back to the architects when the tools break.
It is a complete ecosystem, documented from the first click to the final legal disclaimer.
We've traced the entire journey today.
We really have.
We went from breaking ground with a simple modular builder to expanding the site's functionality with embedded dashboards and custom scripts.
We set up the analytics to track behavior.
Right. And we installed the accessibility features, navigated the legal realities of publishing, and finally established our place in a global, multilingual community that helps each other solve completely bizarre edge cases.
It's quite a trip.
It is. So what does this all mean?
If we pull back and synthesize everything this single index page has shown us, it reveals a profound truth about the current era of the internet.
Which is?
The technical barrier to entry for web creation has been utterly eradicated.
Completely gone.
Building a digital presence is no longer an exercise in programming or writing code from scratch.
Right.
Today, creating a website is fundamentally an act of assembly, curation, and governance. You are managing information flows within a massive, interconnected ecosystem.
It is a completely different paradigm.
It really is.
You are an editor and a community manager, not a traditional coder.
Exactly.
And that realization brings me to a final thought I want to leave everyone with today. It builds directly on that one tiny detail buried in the data export section we were talking about earlier.
Oh, the portability of the formats.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
The Help Center explicitly mentions exporting your site data right alongside your private docs, your budget sheets, your forms, and your vids.
Right.
It treats them all as equal, interchangeable pieces of structured cloud data. So if our public websites, our private financial spreadsheets, and our personal videos are all just interconnected data points that we can bundle up and move around with a single click.
Are we actually building independent websites anymore?
Exactly. Or are we simply creating customized, public-facing viewing windows into our own centralized cloud drives?
It completely blurs the line between public broadcasting and private storage.
It really does. Something to think about the next time you look at the blueprint of your own digital home.